Welcome back, everybody. Lost Boys Cypher Circle is back in session. If you didn't know, now you do. This is the place where I bring artists of all kinds, whether you be a poet, a singer, a rapper, a storyteller, or you just want to come on here and have a conversation. I actually have a whole show just dedicated to that. So if you want to come on the show and share your art, it's our weekly therapy session, really, is what it is. It's a place where you can be honest and open and be your true self without any discrimination, without any judgment, without anything like that. It's a really great place to come and connect with fellow artists. So if you want to come on the show, thank you, Brendan. Message me on Facebook at Dylan Lawler. Or on Gmail at lostboy420x@gmail.com. That's Dylan Lawler, or lostboy420x@gmail.com. Also, go make sure you go follow us and subscribe to us on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeart, Pandora, and anywhere else you find your podcasts. But I do have a little, I guess, announcement or apology to make. The last few episodes have not been uploading correctly. I found that out today. And I have made steps to correct that. I think that I have gotten up to season 2, episode 5. This is season 2, episode 8. So I have 3 after tonight to get up there for you. But that was a mistake on my part. I apologize. And I will get them up there as soon as I possibly can on all the platforms I just mentioned. But they are also on the Facebook, the Lost Boys Facebook, and the Lost Boys YouTube channel every week at Saturday 9 p.m. live, and recorded on there if you want to watch the video. But again, I will get the audio version up for you very soon. I apologize for the technical difficulties there. This extra show that I have, Brandon, can I get it up here? I mentioned at the beginning, I have a show dedicated to just coming on and having a conversation, just one-on-one with artists. It's a show where I go deeper into their minds. They get to know me deeper, and it's a lot of fun. It's called Lost Boys Presents Deep Cuts. We've put out 6 episodes so far, and our 7th episode is coming out very soon as well. Again, there is technical difficulties with editing and uploading, but we are getting that out to you soon with my man Ono. Great episode. I think it's like 2.5 hours long, so keep a lookout for that. That's going to be on the Lost Boys YouTube channel, and I'll also put it up on the Facebook. And I'll make some clips for it for Instagram and TikTok too. Also, keep a lookout for me and my buddy Brandon's Lost Boys Presents Lost in the Woods. We go out in the woods with a GoPro or a camera or what have you, and we film ourselves hiking, fishing, doing that kind of thing. It's an outdoor adventure vlog. It's a lot of fun. We've put out a little bit of content so far. Not as much as we'd like. We have more in the bank, and again, keep a lookout for that. We have more for you. Also, if you want to donate to us at all, we have a Cash App, a Venmo, and a PayPal. All the same tag, LostBoy420X. That's LostBoy420X. Don't forget the X. Like X-Men, because you will type in someone else's tag if you forget it. Sorry, guys. I got like something in my throat today. Anyway, don't clip that, please. That's a great segue into mental health. So before I get into the show, this show, as I said at the beginning, is like a therapy session for us, right? It's a place for us to be open, honest, be our true selves, get out our inner demons, our inner feelings, our inner emotions in the most open and honest way possible. In doing that, sometimes things can get a little triggering for the person reading, for the people watching. And we understand that there's no telling what's going to set you off and what personal triggers one person might have. So just understand this is not us trying to trigger you in any way. And if you feel triggered at all at any point, whether you be audience member or a guest on the show, feel free to click out at any time. No one will fault you in the slightest. It's a therapy session. It's a place to come be ourselves and talk. But if it gets too sensitive and you find that it's triggering for you, please feel free to leave. Also, because it is largely, again, based around mental health. I try to give my best piece of advice every week for somebody struggling with their own mental health. And my best piece of advice every time is don't keep it bottled up. Speak about it, come on the show and talk about it, let it out through your art, talk to a family member, a friend, a coworker. Don't keep it bottled up. That is the worst possible thing someone can do. So I encourage you, whether you text me directly, whether you come on the show, there's so many artists on this show that would be happy to talk to you. We have an artist on tonight who does readings, tarot card readings, which are very spiritual and can really help you sort through the things you're going through in your life a lot. So feel free to message me or to Sonia if you'd like a reading. And lots of other people on the show would be greatly willing to have you reach out to them. And I just want you to understand that though it feels like no one understands the things you're going through, there are people that do, and there are people that are willing to hear you. And I know that's hard to hear being in a dark place, but just know that there are people who understand you, and there are people that are here for you. And that is my best piece of advice. And that being said, if anyone would like to go find further help that is not in their own life or on this show, we have some professional lifeline. We have some professional hotlines you can reach out to, such as lifelinecrisis.com. You can text their hotline 988 or go to their website. They have trained professionals and resources and stuff like that on hand to help you. And then there's also betterhelp.com, and they hook you up with an online therapist. And like I said about it being hard to talk to somebody and finding, somebody that you feel like you can connect with and actually understands you, BetterHelp understands that too, and they'll switch you out with a therapist until you find someone that you actually connect with. So that's really cool. Go check them out. I hope some people find some help there. Again, feel free to message me if you're down in the dumps and you need someone to talk to. And let's move on with the show. It'll be a long night. This week, I have elected to hand my spot over to Caleb because he's got a piece he wants to share with you guys. And he's hyped. He's got some emotion he's got to get out. And I'm just leaving the floor open to him. So, but we got a packed house tonight, and Caleb's going to kick us off. So, my brother, are you ready? All right. My man Caleb, he's a rapper. He's dope. You can find him on TikTok at KC790. Let's get him up here. What up, man?
What's good, bro?
I was gonna play your flyer, but I don't see it. Like I thought I put it up here, but it's like not. It's not showing up for some reason.
Fuck it.
I have everyone else's. I thought yours was the first one. I thought I already had yours up from the last time anyway, but apparently not.
It's all right, but I got a new flyer, so when it does play next time I'm on here, it's gonna be sick.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! Hell yeah! I mean, you come on almost every week, so we'll.
I'm sorry if you heard that fart. I'm drunk.
Quality content. All right, man. So you got a piece that you're gonna kick us off with. What is this one called?
This one's called Sounds of Color.
Sounds of Color. All right. You ready for this?
Not really, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
All right, man. I'm gonna jump myself out of here.
Drunk. Why am I the only one that can only see the deeper sounds? My past got me here, but it wasn't safe to survive whatever the hell I've been through. Forever's the amount that I've claimed to, so lost is the word because it never came through. These words could never be permanent so long as I'm the one saying them. Though you don't have to listen, you should at least give me credit for at least putting in my submissions. What have you got to dream about? I'm curious. Because this is just a dream I'm pursuing through chaotic nonsense that I've stopped believing were modest. But hell, shit, they put me here. And to be honest, it was a guide, like footsteps in the sand that led a hard journey. But in the end, take a look at where I could stand. I would climb a mountain of sorrow with a fistful of doubt and a wish to fulfill all these dreams I've been talking about. So ask me what I've been dreaming on my own, incognito, unconscious scheming, seeming to burst out, and I'm free falling into the book I've been jotting. Whimsical rhyming, listen or read and understand some of my dreams are color segmented, only seeing selectively, and I'm feeling blue with red ribbons. This anxiety is green, and I see the red fear with black wings like a demon out to get me, but I sit peacefully, fighting white iron wars against mentality, and I'm feeling dreary. But I think, why am I the only one that can see the deeper colors? I wear turquoise embedded with crimson ruby to mark a stain. The resin of definitive beauty, showered with golden rod till perfection is perfect. To feel green and lose it, to fade away to blue and choose not to do it. So ask me what I've been dreaming. I've been thinking that color segments don't have meaning. So be proud and carry your pride till it's the end of your movement. I keep tracing lines in shades of gray, trying to define a pathway, but they fade away. The horizon split in hues I can't contain, but I walk with purpose knowing I'm not the same. I paint thoughts with a palette untold, silver and violet, intertwined with gold, but still I wonder, am I chasing a ghost or is this the dream I've been the host? Lost in a prism, reflections turn to ash. Every hue I embrace fades too fast. I dip my hands in the ink of the night to write what I see when there's no light. Every tear, every laugh, every scream, their colors in motion, part of the scheme. You might think I'm lost, but I'm painting it clear. Every stroke is a story, the canvas is near. There's a rainbow in chaos if you stop to stare. Each fracture of light is a moment I bear. I'm not just surviving, I'm sculpting my way through these shades of confusion I face every day. So take a deep breath. Let the spectrum bleed. Through the cracks of your mind, let the colors be freed. I'm dreaming in fragments, but I'm building a whole, stitching together the pieces of my soul. I've seen reds that burn like fury inside, blues that wrap me in waves, trying to hide. But it's the yellows, the greens, the unseen shades that keep me steady as the colors cascade. I'm not the only one that can hear the sound of colors that scream without making a sound, but I'm the one who's learned to decode the symphony of hues that silently explode. I walk with them now in rhythm and sing, no longer afraid of the colors. I think each one is a note, a beat, it's a thread weaving a masterpiece inside of my head. As I reach the edge where dawn meets the night, colors blend and blur, crafting a sight from violet shadows to golden rays. I walk through a spectrum where the sunset stays. Emerald dreams and indigo fears mingle in twilight, shifting through tears. Scarlet passions ignite with a fiery embrace, while cobalt calm settles in tranquil space. The canvas of my journey painted in hues, from alabaster hope to the deepest blues, crimson victories and azure regrets. In the tapestry of life my heart never forgets, so ask me again about the colors I've seen. In this vivid mosaic of what could have been, from the rainbow's arc to the twilight's fade, I've embraced every shade, every color's displayed. So ask me what I've been dreaming. I've been thinking that color segments don't have meaning, so be proud and carry your pride till it's the end of your movement.
Dude, bro, what have you been doing for the past couple hours? Have you been writing for the past couple hours by chance?
Yeah, I've been writing a little bit, dude.
I was just happening to look through what you sent me. To see if I was like, oh, that was a sick line. I'm gonna see if I can find that line so I can quote it exactly. And I was looking through what you sent me, and I was like, oh yeah, it's not fucking in here, huh? So you wrote quite a fucking bit. I see.
Yeah, I did, bro. I had to, bro.
God damn. Fucking you. What is this? You sent me this at 4:30. It's 9 now. So somewhere in there, you managed to fucking write fucking 20 more bars and get drunk.
36 exactly.
36. Oh, bro. God damn. Yo, that shit went hard. And my favorite thing about it was how it really was a canvas of colors, and it was your fucking, like, your Picasso like painting, and it was each one of your, because when you write, you use parts of your fucking personality, parts of your emotions, and what I loved about this is you assign a different emotion to each color, and like It was so fucking clever how you did that, like intertwined the feelings with the colors, especially in the parts that you added too, because I'm looking through what you sent me, right? And how you, and I know other people can't see this, but just the way you built off of what you originally sent me to is just fucking, because you took what you originally sent me and had that those color schemes, but the way you fucking built into it and took it through the entire fucking thing. I mean,
I'll take it later.
and it wasn't, I mean, and you were throwing out colors that weren't just like, it wasn't just like red, purple, but it was like fucking turquoise, indigo, like you know what I mean? It was, you were diving into a full spectrum, you know what I mean? Which really brought the piece to life in a more colorful way, both metaphorically and physically. Because I could literally see, like when you were rapping that, I could picture like, you know, just a giant wall in front of you and you just splashing, you know, fucking, and that, like, just, it looks like you're randomly splashing paint at the wall. And then when you look, and then when you pan back and look at it, it's like this fucking crazy masterpiece. It's like, oh, what the fuck? You know, like, you know, those people who do those like splatter painting and then they end up becoming like a crazy picture of like, you know, Tupac or some shit.
Yep. That's how I was writing the song, is I was throwing out colors, right? And in my head, as I was writing it, I was like, dude, what would look good in my painting? Because I seen a Juice WRLD painting like that, and I was like, well, what would look good in my painting? So as I was writing that, I'm like, well, what if I splash this color on? What if I and then in my head, I could see an image of myself, like it was like a fucking reflection looking back at me. All right, to every color.
Feel the emotions that came with it too, like, yeah.
It was that those last few bars, that was hard to write. I kind of wanted to cry about it.
Well, I'm glad you fucking pushed through and kept writing, man, because that shit was insane. I could tell right away that this was like a passion project for you, for sure. And especially like when you got into, when I looked and I started seeing, oh shit, he wrote way fucking more. Like it just like the passion you put into those bars that you added, like I mean not even just extra bars, you wrote like a whole extra verse or two extra verses basically, because really a verse of a standard verse is 16 bars, and if you wrote 36 bars, that's too long verses.
Yeah, because I was just feeling it, dude. I was like, man, I gotta get this out. I have to. And like my whole process whenever I even asked you to come onto the show was like, I need this off of my chest, because I was reading it in the background for like 3 days straight. I was reading the song and I'm like, I gotta do something with this. I've never showed it. I've never spoke it. I've never even rehearsed it. So I'm like, I'm gonna just go on there and I'm gonna ask Dylan.
Never even rehearsed it, yo. That's I saw you.
That was one take.
Yeah. I saw you fucking like just. You fumbled at the beginning and then you just like zoned in, bro, and it was just fucking, that was flawless for a first take, bro. That's fucking flawless, dude.
One take. Flawless. That was the first time I've ever spoken that out loud.
I mean, hey man, that's fucking. And especially when especially just writing it too. Like you literally just wrote that. You sent me that the first verse at 4:30 and are coming on at 9 p.m. with 3 verses.
I wrote that whenever I sent that to you. I'm like, I can't just do that. Like the ending just wasn't enough for me. It just was not enough. So I'm like, I have to figure out something else. I have to continue this and figure out how I'm gonna do it. And then in the spur of the moment, what's that? What do you always say? It's like it was like a stream of consciousness.
Yeah. Yep.
So
that's how I write my best shit. Just stream of consciousness, you know. That's how I write. So I just kept
going, and then I couldn't figure out how to end it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna replay the ending of what I had, and then put it at the end, and it tied together so good.
I love that shit, man. I mean, that's okay. I've taken that concept into my writing of music, like I learned that concept from my 10th grade, or I mean probably before that, but like it really got ingrained in me in like my 9th and 10th grade English classes. Is like restate your thesis in the conclusion. And if you do that in your song, if you restate your thesis in your conclusion, like you're writing a history paper in your song, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna sound so good. You're gonna fucking nail it. It's gonna have such a sense of closure. Like it really works. It really does work.
Yeah, that's where I was at. Because I didn't know how to end it. I wanted to keep going, to be honest, but I didn't want to be like, I can't add too much because he's gonna be mad at me. That's how I thought. So like, how do I finish off this last line? And I'm like, you know what, bro? What I ended with the first time before I added the verses sounds good enough to end here too. Kind of like a chorus is how I was thinking of it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Do you want to see what these other artists thought about your piece real quick before we get you out of here?
I'm down.
All right.
I'm down. I'm coming back on, so.
And we have everyone.
Hey.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go one by one. Chris, what did you think of Caleb's piece?
That was fire. I like that. I like that a lot. It reminds me of my own poetry, how I just put so much emotion and creativity into what I write. So I like it a lot.
I appreciate you.
Hell yeah. Poetless, what did you think?
I just got on. My connection was acting crazy, so I'm just.
All right, you're good.
I apologize.
But for the record, I did want to have you go first after him. Are you still down with that?
I don't care.
We missed you last week. All right, word. Tasanya, what did you think about his piece?
Can y'all hear me? Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon.
As an artist, like as an actual painter, it was the way you painted the way you painted your canvas was amazing. The thing you can do with your words, it's crazy.
I appreciate you.
Kevin, what do you think?
The words worked very, very well, and the flow was there. Let me ask you something. Do you own a drum machine or a sequencer?
Just say what? Sorry.
Do you own a drum machine or a sequencer or a sampler?
Do I run that? No, it's all a cappella.
Okay, you should. You should definitely get a drum machine or a sampler or something, and that's next level for you.
I got a room for a studio. I'm about to be making moves. It's about to happen. I'm about to have my own music to what I say. It's been a work in progress for 4 or 5 years, but I'm about to be there.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of what you're writing and the way you deliver it, you're ready. Now all you need is the background work.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. I appreciate you because that's the next step.
For sure, man. Oh yeah, me and him were actually just having a conversation about that the other day. We were like, yo, once we get some beats, because that's the one thing that everyone tells both myself and him is that me and him, we both write raps, we both do acapella, and everybody's like, you gotta get a fucking beat, you'll be unstoppable. Me and him were just having a conversation about that the other day. Hell yeah, dude. It's definitely a work in progress. Definitely get on that. And you're definitely gonna see some collabs too. So. Lawrence. Muted. Hang on, I got you. Wait. There we go. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
You flipped yourself sideways though.
And then I swear I.
Oh, hang on.
Hello? Oh, did I lose you guys?
There you are. All right. What'd you think? You good?
Okay.
Yeah. What? There
Can
you
hear
go.
me?
Yep. There you go. What'd you think?
I lost you guys.
Oh, you can't hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I'm just
I
gonna
guess
put
you
it.
can't hear me.
No, we can hear you.
I can't hear you guys. So
right,
let me
hold on.
log back out and come back in. All right.
That'll work. All right. Well, we will have.
I'll be on you in an hour, then I'm gonna head off and watch you on YouTube.
You're good, man. You can do that now if you want. I don't care. You're good. It's up to you.
Stick
Stick
I gotta
around
hear
and hang out.
Poet. I gotta hear these other two.
Yeah, man.
I
Whatever.
gotta.
Word. All right. Yeah. I'll put a disclaimer out now. I guess. Expect a little bit of technical difficulties, guys, because we are running a packed show this week, and they're all in different parts of the country. You know, I mean, fucking Brandon himself, my man himself, right here, is in Florida. Say hi to the people from Florida. So, man. Yeah, my man over here is in Florida, so we're all over the country this week, and we got a packed house. So expect a little bit of technical difficulties, guys. But hey, man, thanks for being here. Thanks for running the show. All right. Next up, we got our girl Poetless coming out. If my computer wants to do its thing, I just jinxed myself. Gotta knock on wood. We got our girl Poetless coming out. Kind of a rollover from last week. We were supposed to be celebrating her birthday last week. Her birthday was last Thursday, so happy birthday, Poetless. We had a birthday episode for myself and her last week. She was unfortunately not able to participate because she had shoddy connection. So I wanted to make sure we get her up here first thing as soon as we can. So please give it up for Poetless. She goes by Poetless Shakespeare. She's an author and a poet. She's got 2 books on Amazon right now called DNA, which stands for Don't Never Assume, and it's the sequel, DNA The Results. They're both available on Amazon, like I said, and you can also go check her out on YouTube and find her performances and subscribe to her at Red Designs 956. That's R.E.D.D.E.S.Y.G.N.Z 956. And we're gonna play flyer and get her up here.
What is freedom? Is it really worth anything? Where so many people have died not knowing what it means to be free in the first place. What is justice? Is it another word that's supposed to describe our right to be equal in a society that won't even respect us, let alone recognize us? We was birthed into a nation that told us our freedom was just a facade of happiness. Without any sense, we gladly feast upon their lies that they fed us, and became so content in the hell that they tossed us in. Like corpse, we linger in the hollow glow of an undefeated battle that leaves us helpless. Until Martin had a dream that brought war and to bring upon peace, while Malcolm had a plan to outsee it by any means necessary. And the Black Panthers joined forces with fists held high as a sign of strength. What has happened to our nation? Have we forgot that we was the cause for the reproduction of greatness? Our ancestors fought and was killed just so we can even say the word freedom.
To click off automatically. Welcome. How you doing?
I am wonderful now. Happy belated birthday, because you know it's Virgo's rock.
Thank you. You too. I'm sorry that we missed you last week, but I appreciate you being on.
Of course, you know I always love to be on here. It's my therapy. I get to say what I want, be who I want, with no judgment. So you know I always love it to be here.
Yeah, that's how we do it here. That's how we do it. You know, it wouldn't be, to me, it wouldn't be art without freedom of expression, right? You know,
Exactly.
and it goes deeper than, you know, because I have people on this show from all over the world who they don't have the liberty of having the freedom of the First Amendment. We have the
Mm-hmm.
First Amendment. Uno, he lives in Trinidad. Uno does not have the First Amendment.
Mm-mm.
Uno is not part of
Mm-mm.
America, but he has his freedom of expression through art. So, when
Mm-hmm.
all else fails, including our government, and our government fails us quite often, in my opinion, when all else fails, our art is really what we have to express ourselves and to have our freedom of speech. And that's really through hundreds and thousands of years, whether it be storytelling or song or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Art is what has let people express themselves freely to their fullest extent, and it is what will continue to hold up humanity. So that's what it's all about.
I think art is the only truth that we have that we don't have to question. That's the only thing that we do have. Nobody don't never have to question your art because it's you. Like you said, it's your expression. It's my truth. That's the only truth that we really do have in a web of lies that we gotta go through and digest every day. So
Hmm.
that's the only
Yeah,
thing that I love about it. Cause I get to be me and nobody can tell me I'm wrong or what's that because I did it. It's my art. Like you said, my expression. You can't tell me I'm wrong. But I feel
absolutely.
so bad for, especially as a woman. It's like we was made not to be seen, not heard. And I'm like, but I got feelings too. As a woman, I have emotions too. So for you to tell me that what I say doesn't matter, no, mm-mm. Nope. I'm gonna say how I feel because I have that right to.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. And I love that. One of the things that I love about you the most, and especially like in your fly in the poem that you played for your flyer, one of the things that I love about you the most in your style is how much you own your own fucking power. And you've actually created a slogan for this fucking show.
On
Brendan,
me,
can I get it up on here on
on
the
me,
screen? On me.
on me.
Because at the end of the day, everything you do is on you. And you have to respect your own power and respect your own self-worth. How is anyone else gonna respect you if you don't respect yourself? So
Exactly.
and that is literally our slogan for the show. So yeah. Yeah, thank you for bringing that fucking power. Thank you for bringing the power.
You are welcome.
We really appreciate it. So you said you had well, you got two pieces this week, but you said one of them was new. Is that the one you're gonna do first?
Yep, that's the one I'm going to
Yeah.
do first. So with
All right.
this piece, I've been really, really like in my feelings, if you want to say, and it's just like everything I've been questioning is just like, why am I questioning this? I have to look at my own worth. So this, and the reason why I was said I was so nervous to present it because this is where I'm really being vulnerable about who I am and like this is what I've been going through. So that's why I was like, I gotta put it here first. I gotta do it here first. Couldn't do it nowhere else.
Hell yeah. And is this brand new?
Mm-hmm.
Brand new. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. I'm gonna just drop myself out of here and let you do what you do.
Cool. It's dangerous when a woman goes from broken to healed. She becomes a new creation, unfamiliar to oneself, you may say. She finds herself dressed in a wardrobe of the Proverbs 31:10-31 woman. After all, her presence speaks volumes. Her morals and boundaries becomes her makeup, unlike Beyonce, no shade to how she wakes up, but she was created and conceived like this. Even through all of this protection and even though sometimes she forgets who she is and what she and whom she represents. With a shift of her contact, her third eye has widened. Her thoughts start thinking, igniting her words to start speaking. As she involves in her confidence, she fights instead of running to make it easier for her to defeat all of her demons. Just to be clear, she calls them by name. She acts without fear, no rehearsal nor understudy needed for the scene. This is what she was casted for. When pain and hurt appears her, she somehow finds strength within her tears. So smiling becomes mandatory as well as necessary, heavy on the mandatory. It's crazy, right? I know. Here's why. Going through her transformation, she was reminded of a few things, such as she's black and a woman. If that alone doesn't scream power, name me one black woman without strength and bounce back in her DNA. I'll wait. Nate, she was made from the highest job, which speaks protection, love, peace alone, and endlessly of protection. So how can you say she's not blessed? Through all of this, I had to remember myself and to remember that I am humble because I have protection. I come from a cloth that no one can ever deny that their strength and beauty comes from. Sometimes I neglect myself, and sometimes I have to go to that mirror and put on my rose-colored glasses and say, "You are worth it. You are doing this because everything has to die in order to be created something beautiful." So even though I may have gone through the fire, yes, I have burned to a crisp, but out comes the beautiful butterfly with flowers that are nice me and take me to places where there's love, peace, and happiness. I am a new creation. Hate me if you want. And peace.
Ooh, yeah, that's how it's done, dude. If that's not an on me piece, I don't know what the fuck is, yo.
I'm sorry, I
That
didn't
shit,
remember that, but so I had to go into my notes and read it. So that's why I said I
yeah,
was
dude.
nervous about
Nah, that was fucking amazing. Nah, I was flawless again. Fucking, I mean, you guys is it's something I always marvel about you guys. You know, I told Caleb this a few minutes ago. He had the piece that he did. I know you were not here, but the piece that he did, he just wrote like more than half of it in the last hour or two, and hadn't practiced it at all. And like, I don't know, you guys' ability to come on here, like my pieces, I keep them close to the chest until they're really, really ready. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really come on here. Like I've done it once or twice, and each time I've fumbled it up way more than you guys have. You know, I fucking the last couple, I did a sneak peek of Golden Gloves. And I did a
it.
sneak peek of Speaking of Demons Part 2, and I fucked up both of them. And you know, so you guys, your ability to fucking just master your nerves and just perform under pressure, something that's very new and very just, you know, I admire that a lot. But man, that piece, it was beautiful, it was uplifting, and it was like the type of shit. It's the type of shit you listen to like like when you go before you go to the gym. Like that's like most
Mm-hmm.
motivational type, you know, motivational type shit. You know that you know you know, they say that music or art or poetry can really like change your moods and talk to you
It
and
can.
alter your perception of life. And that piece really felt like a piece that I would listen to, like if I need it, like, you know, that's a spark, that's a boost, you know, like a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of nitrous in my tank, you know. It really felt like you were not only mastering your own power, like we were talking about before you perform the piece, you know, mastering your own power, but somehow through that piece, I felt you transferred the power to me. You know what I mean? And you
That's what
helped me,
I was trying to give
like you
something about the
made
power.
me feel more confident in myself by you feeling more confident in yourself. You know, and I feel like you know, our emotions are infectious. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
surround yourself with people that are fucking, you know, losers. You're gonna be a loser. You surround yourself with people
Exactly. You
who are
adapt to
trying
your
to fucking
environment.
go up. You're gonna go up, you know. And I really, really appreciate every time you come on here, you bring in that, you know, fucking let's go up energy. You know, like come, follow me, guys. We're you know, let's get out of here. Let's go. We're going up. You know, there's bigger and better places, and I really felt that energy. So thank you. It was
You're
great.
welcome. I got
Hell
that when
yeah.
I was watching. It's crazy because I was really watching a butterfly fly, and I was sitting at the harbor. Matter of fact, I was sitting at the harbor, and I don't know what it was. It was just like something was just saying, just relax. After all your chaos you're going through, just shut up, be quiet, and just sit down and just take your mind off of something. So I seen the little butterfly, and you know I'm into the nature and all that. So the butterfly came down and next sat next to me, and I thought about it. I said, what does it take for him to go through his transformation? You know what I'm saying? Like for you to have to, for one, first you're a caterpillar, you're out, you're squirming around, then you're in this cocoon where you're by yourself. There's nobody there to say you got this. There's nobody to hug you. You're hugging yourself pretty much. And for you to come out, and I've noticed the butterflies when they out there so free. And I was looking at the butterflies saying, for you to go through that and you come out like, all right, I did that. I know it was painful. It has to be painful, but look how beautiful it is when the butterflies is going like all the colors.
Mhm.
Like how the heck a caterpillar go from that into this? And you're looking at yourself like if they could do that, I could do that too. Just a matter of what colors do you want to position yourself in. So that's why I'm always
Mhm.
trying to be upbeat, because if I'm not, I can't have nobody around me. And it's just like we just stagnate and we complaining. When are you going to Einstein your own problem? You can be Einstein to your own problem sometimes. And that's what I realize. Sometimes you have to be your own Einstein. Like, you know what? Let me solve this problem. Because we deep down inside, we have the solution. It's just hard for us to bring it up sometimes because of all the chaos. So that's what I know. I just got to sit in my own chaos and be thankful for it sometimes. Because sometimes it might not be that bad.
Absolutely. And you know what? I found this quote earlier. And it says it's actually like a Facebook thing, and it says a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. And then at the bottom it says this post is not about candles.
I
Like
get it.
let that fucking let that sink in for a minute. You know what I mean? Because and that's what you do
I definitely get
every
it.
time you spit, every time you write, every time you come on this show, man. That's you using your light to light a candle loses no light. You know, it's nothing. You know, it costs that candle nothing to light another candle. You know, and
Yep.
it's something my mom always tried to teach me. You know, if help somebody every chance you get, every chance you get, if it, you know, because it could cost you as little as nothing
Mm-hmm.
and save somebody as much as their life. You know, just a simple smile or a wave or a nice compliment or
Yep.
something, like whatever it may be can, you know, make the difference. And every time
That is definitely true. Yep.
every time you do what you do, like I just feel this sense of like you spreading your fucking light, and it is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Thank you. I want to get these other
Yep.
pieces up here, or people up here, and see what they think about your piece. There we go. um, Brandon, I'm sorry. Tasanya, what did you think? You're muted. There you go. Oh, there we go.
Okay, now.
Yep.
Okay, your voice. You have such a powerful voice. Like
Thank you.
it's like when you read, it sounds completely different than when you speak. But as a black woman, and not just as a black woman, but as a woman in general, I feel like the message that you put out, like it really needs to be heard because it can connect with everybody, not just a black woman, but with women in general. Anybody that's been through something and has had to go through that transformation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so what you're doing is it's beautiful. Keep doing it.
Thank you. It's just like sometimes when you look at it, just like you say, sometimes we just all got to come together and just realize like everybody hurts at some point. But who's going to be that band aid that we need to heal at that moment? So that's where I was coming from a
Yeah.
place like, you know what, I got this.
And
But it's something I'm working on.
nobody can give you that healing except for yourself.
Exactly. So I think I'm gonna work on the piece and more. I might add something else to it, but I think I'm gonna keep it because I was so nervous about doing it because I just wrote it. So I was just like, I don't know, maybe I should keep it or scrap it. So I think I'm gonna keep it and just work on it and fine tune it.
Hmm.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's, you know, it's, I've had pieces that, and I still do. I have pieces that like I don't know if I'll ever be done with, you know, because I feel like you never. I mean, I feel like that's the case for almost every piece. You're never really done with it. You just choose to walk away from it at a certain point. You know, choose to set it down, or whatever. But it's never. No piece is ever really finished. You know, and but I think that yeah, I'm excited to if you expand on that, like man, I've Caleb sent me something earlier, right? It was the first verse of what we just heard, and then he comes in a couple hours later with fucking 36 more bars. So, you know, fucking keep writing, keep doing what you do. Definitely. Can't wait to hear it when you expand upon it. Chris,
Yeah.
what did you think about post?
I think it was really empowering, you know, something that you can use to empower younger people, especially like, you know, in high school,
Hmm.
someone who's looking for an identity, but, you know, um, they don't really know who they are. So yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you.
Kevin, what did you think?
I like the defiance of it. Grace Jones is one of my very favorite artists on earth. And I kind of caught some Grace Jones vibes in it here and there. Although I
Oh,
think
that says
Grace
a
would have
lot.
sang about fucking the caterpillar, maybe killing it, or fucking and killing it both. Grace could be pretty goddamn scary.
Thank you. That means a lot to be in that category. That's thank you.
Oh yeah, she's the coolest.
Yes, she is definitely the coolest. I love the way she takes her imagination and just bring it into a different format. Like she's outside of the box, and that's the type of
And
person that
you've
I am.
seen the performance footage from this year. And she's like 74 goddamn years old.
Mm,
And she's still got everything. Every step, the voice, it's all
everything.
there.
And that's the people don't appreciate the most. Like when it comes down to being an artist, I realize that a lot of people don't understand the background that it takes to bring it to the forefront. And it's like it's sometimes it is so hard for us to just say, "Hey, my name is such and such, and I do this." So, for someone like that to be, like you said, her age and still coming, like I still got it. I'm still going to represent the art that I love, and this is me unapologetically, and I love it. And she's always thinking outside the box. And that's the kind of artist that I am, because I'm always thinking outside the box.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's another thing that I love about you is that you are like the exact opposite of anything, narrow-minded, or you are one of the most free thinkers that I've met, and that I have the pleasure of having on the show. You don't let your mind be contained in a box. It doesn't work for you. You need to be outside that box. You need to let your mind embrace all the possibilities, and I think that makes you a better artist. So yeah, keep doing that. Thank you. Lawrence, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep. What'd you think of Polo's piece?
I didn't get to hear it, so I apologize. We're having a
It's
major
okay.
storm and I'm getting hit by no internet,
Damn.
so I have to switch to cellular and
Oh.
it's not very reliable. Sorry.
No, it's all right, man. We appreciate you toughing
Yeah.
it out, though. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
All right, guys. We are going to get on over to our next artist of the night. All right, guys. So, Chris, he has been here once before, but if you don't remember him, I will introduce him. He's a poet. He's got an Instagram. He's got his own website, and he's got a merch shop as well, where you can go check out his merch. So his Instagram is at original_poetry. And I believe if you see up on screen when he's up here, his poet name is Original Poet. So on Instagram is original_poetry. On his website, you can go at poetryroots.online.com, or no. Yeah. www.poetryroots.online.com. And that's roots spelled with a Z. And his merch shop is Boss Up Apparel 3creatorspring.com. I know that's long. I'm gonna put it up here on screen in a minute for you guys. But that's boss hyphen up hyphen apparel hyphen 3.creator hyphen spring.com. And I'm gonna play this flyer and it'll be up on screen here for you guys. So yeah, let's get him up here. Oh, there he is. Sorry. Come on.
Hey.
There you are. Sorry
Hey,
about the technical difficulties tonight. It's a lot of people, so the computer is taking it all in, and it's having trouble loading everything as fast as I want it to. But thanks for being here.
Yep, thanks for having me. I really appreciate coming back on the show. I watched the last episode that you did, and I like the poets that were on here. So I kind of missed the chance to be on that last episode, but I'm on this one, so I was really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's excited to have you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being part of the community. You are officially a Lost Boy, and it's great to have you here. Question real quick. Speaking of which, are you part of the Lost Boys Facebook group?
I don't know. I'll check it out. I'll look and see
All
if
right.
I.
Well, yeah. At some point, I'll send that to you because I've been meaning to make it a point to make sure that all the new guests that I have on the show get part of that group, just so that they can stay connected with everyone else. And everyone else posts their poetry on there, and it's a really cool community where we can message each other and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'll send it to you when we get done here. Or you can just look up Lost Boys on Facebook. It'll come up. But yeah, thanks for being here, man. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, since you've only been on once before? People might not know you.
Yeah, so I'm a poet. I'm a self-published author. I publish several books on Amazon. They're all available on my website, poetryroots.online. And about my Poetry Roots brand, it's something I want to create, and just create a place for all my poetry. Create like my own brand of poetry, so that when somebody hears a poem from me, they know it's from Poetry Roots. And Poetry Roots is made up of three elements of poetry, which is the spoken word, the written word, and the roots of creativity.
Nice. Okay. And so is there so they're varying, so you write in varying styles, but they're all in a certain vein where you're trying to create a brand where somebody's like, it's an instantly, recognizable Poetry Roots type poem. Now,
Yes.
so give me an example of something that like two, like a spoken word and a written word that represent like you, or represent your brand. So I'm trying to get a kind of a clear image of your brand as a whole, because when you say you want to have like a recognizable like theme, is that in the more in the vein of like your all the poems are geared towards the same subject, or is that just they either stylized the same, or like what exactly builds the brand while separating them at the same time? Can you like elaborate on that a little more?
Yes, so my poetry is really relatable, but it's based off of my own, personal life experiences, and that's just how I discovered my own voice, discover my own, interest in writing poetry, and just something that's uplifting but still relatable. Like I want to be able to just write about something, and express myself, without seeming like you know not telling the truth. Like it's something that's that's unique to me, and nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the most important thing about any kind of poetry at all, is it has to be from you, from your inner experiences, because there are, don't get me wrong, there are poems about like flowers, or like trees, or whatever, or butterflies, and those poems are great. People who just sit out in nature, embrace nature, and absorb it, and then write about it. But I tend to, Lost Boys, and what I do tends to lean a little more in that direction too, is from our own experiences, from and oftentimes that's personal traumas, but it doesn't always have to be, right? Because you can also work your good experiences into your art as well. So do you have is there anybody else that's working with you in Poetry Roots? Or is this all you, all self-made, all homegrown, or?
It's all me. I designed and developed the brand. I have my own, clothing line, my own poetry books. Everything I want to just, expand and have like, my books, my merch, all these different things that I've created under the Poetry Roots brand. But
Nice.
at the same time, I want Poetry Roots to be a community where, someone who feels like they don't have a voice can join, a community where, someone who feels like, they're misunderstood or they don't fit in, they can fit into Poetry Roots, that it's something that, that's really uplifting, and, it's just really, it's a really interesting thing where you can, grab the attention of other people and, create your own community and just have other creative minds included in what you create.
Yeah, I mean that sounds a lot like what we're doing here. That is essentially you took the words right out of my mouth. Lost Boys, much like Poetry Roots, is a community. First and foremost, it's a community. It's a place where you, me, and we can all come together and be our open, honest selves without any kind of judgment, without any kind of retribution or anything like that. And it sounds like on the sort of business end of things, you're doing now. Don't get me wrong, we are working on merch. But we currently don't have merch yet. So congratulations on your merch shop and everything you got going on there, because it seems like you got your business shit down pat and you're moving in a good direction. So yeah, man, I love what you're doing. I love the foundation of what you're building, and I love that, it sounds like you got your business shit down, but it's built from your heart, because it has to be a business, but it also has to be built from your heart. And it sounds like you're doing both. So congratulations. And I can't wait to see how it grows from the roots.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, man. So you got a couple pieces tonight. What's the first piece you're gonna do for us tonight?
The first piece is called "My Life Is a Poem."
All right, I'll get it up here real quick. All right. And I'll just try. You want to say anything about the piece before we get into it, or?
Yes. So this piece is actually a response to my, the first piece that I read. So I read it when I was first on here. I did a poetry piece called "I Am Poetry," and this piece I'm doing today, this evening, is called "My Life Is a Poem." So it's a response to "I Am Poetry."
All right, cool. So like I like sequels. I'm a big fan of sequels. I'm writing a sequel to one of my favorite poems right now, in fact. So all right, so this is like a part two. All right, cool. I'm excited to hear it. I'll drop myself
Okay.
out of here.
All right. From my childhood to adulthood, my spirit wrestled with navigating the tumultuous torrent of others' thoughts and opinions, seeking to discover and hear my own voice. I penned my journey, my spirit, my home, a masterpiece, crafted in passion and strife. In each fading chapter, my life is a poem, each day a stanza, each moment a line, ink of my heart in rhythms divine. With metaphors blooming in gardens of time, my soul finds its music, its vibrant rhyme. From my life as a poem, a legacy spun, a symphony woven until the day is done. For every lost moment, a lesson was learned. In the furnace of trials, my spirit was turned. For the world tried to clip my wings, and I still learned to fly. Teenage years spilled chaos, emotions untamed, pages marked by heartache where innocence shamed. The ink grew more vivid, the essence of life. For every insult, criticism, wrongdoing I let slide, it always felt like part of my soul died. Adulthood arrived with burdens to bear. Time penned its chapters with wisdom and care. I pen my experiences with the poetry I share. Putting one foot in front of the other, I continue to move forward even when my life may take me a few steps back. To be true to one's own poetry roots are beyond skin deep, my ethnic background or demographical community where I sleep and rest my weary feet. There was a time where others, as well as myself, thought I was unable to speak. Then the seeds of poetries began to grow from the soils of adversities, then branched out above the low-level shrubs and weeds to embrace the light of the sun. A poetry that will never have to stand in another shadow, standing alone, tall and strong, but never alone. The quill of experience wrote lines steeped in grace. Each face found its place. My life is a poem, each experience is a totem. So I write and I live in this infinite quest. For my life is a poem, imperfectly blessed. Like many of us men, we're taught not to cry, show weakness, or express emotions, although we are still human. I let my tears flow through the ink of my pen. My life is a poem.
Hell yeah, man. I like that one. That one was good. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the other one to see which one I like better. But I feel like that one like had a deeper impact on me. Um, just the something about the tone of it, whether I don't know whether it was the tone or just the metaphors you used that just struck a chord with me more. But yeah, that was a fantastic part too, and that's why I love sequels, because often they hit me much harder than the original. But I mean, that piece was I so the first thing I like about it on like from a writing standpoint, right? I love the rhyme scheme, and I love the cadence of it. It wasn't it wasn't it was slow, it was measured, it was paced, it had a very old fashioned, more Poe or Shakespearean kind of, older poetry to it, but it was slow, cadence, and measured, but the rhyme scheme was um intricate nonetheless, though it was a slow measured poem. And I think it was even more intricate because you have to work harder. And I'm like a word nerd. Like the way I think about words and putting them together is like a puzzle. So I could sit here all day and talk about it, but you know, uh, essentially it made it even more intricate because you were speaking longer form sentences where like in rap, right? There's shorter condensed sentences to say what you need to say quicker in a metaphor in a condensed bar, right? But drawing it out in like saying this long form sentence and still hitting the internal and external rhymes on each line, while you had that slow measured pace, it was fantastically written. And as far as the how it hit me emotionally, I feel a lot like I did about Poetless's piece, where it was a very like accepting of self piece, and embracing your life and all the things that have happened to you, and how they've made you who you are, and influenced your art, and made you become the artist that you are, and made your art become what it is, and it felt like, and I love to see that it's the same, basically the same subject, the same message, an accepting of self and self identity, and your past, but from a different perspective, from a different lens, from a different take. And that's the thing I love about this show is, you know, we all are kind of writing about the same types of things, but I get to see it through so many different lens, and so many people have so many different artistic takes on it. And I really love to see that. So yeah, it was a fantastic piece, fantastically written, fantastic message. Just beautiful overall. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I talk a lot. I gotta take a sip of water. And I'm gonna get these other artists up here to see what they thought about it. They have any questions or comments or whatever for you. Let's see, Lawrence, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I could see the flow of energy that you've put into your poem. I could see definitely how it probably connected to the bigger sense of the poem that you wrote before to what's going on. It kind of took me into a dreamscape type of feeling of it, and I really enjoyed it. Very, very nice flow.
Thanks.
Yeah, fantastic. Tasanya, once you unmute your mic.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. It's like, especially that line where you said like men are raised to believe that it's not okay to cry, to where it's not okay to show their feelings, you know. But it's like you're human. You're human. It's okay. You know, I feel like I've been telling guys that a lot lately. Like, it's okay to show your emotions. It's okay to need help. It's okay. Period. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, throughout my life, I've actually seen grown men cry before, but I didn't judge them. It's just like, okay, well, if they can cry, it's okay for a man to cry, no matter what skin color they are or whatever the case is.
Yeah. You know, you're always told you had to be a strong black man and this and that. But it's like, in whose definition? Like, what is the definition these days of a strong black man, or just a strong man in general? You know, like, it takes more strength to show your emotions than it ever will to bottle them up.
I am muted. Now can you hear me? What is that feedback sound that we're getting though? Hold on. Do you guys hear that? All right, give me one moment, guys. All right, guys, can you hear me? Are we good? All right, sorry for the dead air. Lawrence, I believe you are giving some feedback on your end. I just discovered that. Yeah, it's Lawrence because he's the only one unmuted now. All right, my mic is clear though, right? I'm coming through clear now. All right, sorry, I had a momentary hiccup there with my mic as well. Sorry about this, guys. Big fucking technical difficulty night. I believe I was going to ask Kevin though what he thought of Chris's piece.
I like the thing you've got going thematically as the poem being biographical. There's a lot going on in your opening that I think is universal. You know, the frustrations of being a younger man, but I think this could be something you work on for years to come, adding to it and building on top of it as you grow and change, so that it really truly becomes your life as a poem you could take this out to book length probably.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually interested to see because you've already got 2 parts to this kind of saga. I agree with Kevin. I'd be interested to see where you go from here.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Poetless, are you with us? All right. She is not with us at the moment. Hopefully she will be back. But that being said, I am going to bring us to our third guest of the night, which is Kevin. I don't know how many people here remember Kevin. He has also been on, I believe, only once before. But he is maybe he's been on twice. I don't know. I think only once. Anyway, he's got some fantastic stories. And he's gonna read one tonight. He's an author. Or part of one tonight, I should say. He's an author. He writes short stories, and long form stories, and all sorts of stories. He works through a press. Sorry, guys. My computer. Every time I try to read it, it keeps giving me that spinny bar. Here we go. He works through a illustrated pulp magazine press called Spider Scalp Press. He's got multiple short stories that are presented in there. You can also go follow him on Facebook at Kevin Burge. I am sorry I butchered your last name again, man. I apologize for that. But also his email. I will just spell it for you guys. It's KEVINBIRGE, and his email, if you want to go contact him, is BIRGE.KEVIN@gmail.com. And I'm just gonna play his flyer so you guys can see it for yourself and get it up on screen here. And then we'll get him up here. Come on. This fucking thing doesn't want to load anything tonight. Doesn't want to load my. Yeah, it doesn't want to load you guys when I click on you guys to bring you up. It doesn't want to load my thing when I bring it up to intro you guys. It just doesn't want to load shit tonight, but I'm powering through. Thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, I've actually been on twice. This is number 3.
Twice. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, hasn't he been on more than once? When I started saying it to myself, I started thinking I was pretty sure you had been on more than once. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being back. Welcome. If you would like to expand upon my intro and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, by all means.
All right. Well, I know for some people this is therapy. It's not for me. I'm shamelessly promoting my work. Everything that I do in terms of writing is me beating on the door, and greatness is on the other side of that door. I may never achieve it. I may never get there, but I'm never going to stop pounding on that motherfucker. Not till I die.
Hell yeah, man.
In terms of therapy, I would much rather create worlds to bring you into and give you an escape. That's kind of the point of everything that I do artistically, to pick somebody up, take them out of their frame, and drop them into some new place.
Absolutely, man. Hey, that is oftentimes the best therapy. And I am a fantasy nerd at my core. I grew up on, I mean, for my generation. Now, later in life, I did end up reading like Lord of the Rings and a lot of the things that my older generations would call the classics. Whatever. I grew up on like Harry Potter and shit like that. but I became like obsessed with just the art of storytelling. But I started writing stories before I ever wrote raps or any type of poetry or anything like that at all. Actually, and like, you know, mostly like sci-fi and fantasy is where I like find myself comfortable writing, just because it's like easier. For me, I guess it's easier than like, you know, when I want to go into the real life stuff and the grungy, like down to earth, fucking, like, I'll write poetry. I'll bring you into that world. I'll write spoken word, or I'll write, but yeah, no, I think that stories are, I mean, sometimes the best form of therapy, because sometimes, man, you just need to not think about all the shit. You know, you need to not, you need to just space out and go into another world. And I cannot tell you how much of my childhood has been saved by stories, and you know, some of my favorite books. My favorite series is the Dresden Files. I don't know, are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Yeah, my favorite series is the Dresden Files, and it's my favorite series, not only because, you know, it is like a fantasy series or whatever, but it's from first person, and you get just this like really deep like understanding of his mental space, you know, and it brings you into like his world and his mental space. And that's just always the thing I loved about it so much, is it's so introspective and it brings you into another mental space. So yeah, well, anyway, what I guess the long-winded way of trying to say that stories have been a staple for me in my life, and something that I have like counted on to get me through some of the hardest times in my life. I have I shamelessly use Audible. I don't care what anybody says
Oh, I
about it.
used to.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of
Have you
what
heard the Andy Serkis readings of the Tolkien stuff, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit?
I have heard his Hobbit reading. It was
Oh my
fantastic.
God.
Fan
Yeah.
fucking tastic. Yes. Um, no, I have some friends and some family members, like my great uncle. He watches the show sometimes, but he is a gatekeeper of books, in the terms of, you know, he thinks that it's shameful to listen to Audible, and that's not like real reading. But I have shamelessly used Audible since 2012. I don't plan to stop anytime soon. I have 116 books on there, maybe more.
Did you
And
know that if you go back a few hundred years, when the ability to buy books was not as common because they were more expensive, that gathering together and listening to them read was a popular form of entertainment?
well, if you go back even farther to ancient Egypt and Greece, that's all they did was sit around and tell stories. What did they have? Stone tablets to write on? Nobody's sitting around reading a stone tablet. You're sitting around a campfire and telling a story. So Audible is the OG, bitches. Yeah, yeah, no, fantastic. But anyway, getting back to you and what you do. You have a story you're going to share with us tonight. It's is my understanding, is it part of a book that you're writing?
Yeah, it is. A friend of mine and I have been collaborating on a project that has never ever materialized. He wanted to do comics, and after several years of trying, we have come to the conclusion, or I did, there's no money in it. I mean, you can get something out, but you'll be lucky to break even. And most of the guys that are doing the crowdfunding, especially, it's an expensive hobby. They're paying to put this stuff out. And I was like, sorry, dude, I can't do that. And he eventually got back to me and said, well, I want to do a 30 style pulp. We'll just do it all as prose. And he's going to put it out on Amazon. He's going to pay me in old comic books, which is fine. You know, um, Spider Scout Press pays me a nickel for word for anything they publish, and this might wind up there. But I think the first 4 or 5 chapters will go into this extraordinary stories thing that he's going to be putting up on Amazon when he's done with his stuff. And the rest of it, I'm thinking a target of 12 chapters for the first story. Yeah, we'll probably come out with Spider Scout at some time. They're reading it as it comes along, and they're really liking it. This is not a typical superhero story. This draws far more from the well of the 1930s before that stuff really took off in comics. This is related a lot more to like The Shadow or the early pulp stuff. And radio shows are a big influence on this too. And I'm just putting my own spin on it. But like any good heroic fantasy character, you should be able to take his origin story, put it in your pocket, and walk away without too much explanation. And this guy's story is his guy's name is Leo Bestar, and he's a sailor and a prize fighter that comes into possession of a jade statue of a lion. Well, the lion brings with it power and a curse, so to speak. He's stronger and faster. He can see in the dark. And the main power that he has is that he can die and be resurrected 9 times.
I like
But it
that.
comes with some pretty nasty enemies and strings attached. And so the first book is the story of his first life. And one of the
Nice.
themes going on will be how the dying process and resurrecting process changes him.
I like how you tie the you know the lion statue into the cat 9 life aspect of it. That's interesting. I'm excited to see where that goes, and like I'm already interested about this statue and everything and the where it came from, and you've already got me intrigued, man. So I'm gonna just drop myself out of here, and I'll let you do what you do.
All right. So guys, just pretend this is the first time you're picking up a comic book, or that you're just turning into a radio show for the first time. The basic plot's pretty simple. Just roll with the story as it comes. Destiny and Jade, Chapter 2, $5 and change. The fist was big and meaty and blocked out the sun. Leo noticed that the hair on the fat fingers was coarse and black, providing an interesting contrast to the extravagantly large wedding band, the existence of which had indirectly contributed to the fist being cocked and causing the localized eclipse in the first place. The fist's owner was a giant of a man, broad of shoulder and both barrel-chested and round of gut. Leo had no doubt whatsoever that the fellow could land a knockout punch. Leo also knew that he was not much more than a local tough street brawler at best, with no real skill or footwork. Not that footwork would have availed him, not with his trousers down around his ankles hampering his every step. Leo was handicapped, quite literally, by having his right hand occupied with the care and safety of a rather large, expensive, and fragile camera, the film of which had a dozen scenes of the large man performing offenses against decency upon a very enthusiastic wife, not his own. Die, you son of a bitch. The punch came, accompanied by this shouted epithet. Leo ducked down, and the blow landed on the steel face of a coal chute. There was a sound like a gong. Brother Dan Devine, deacon of the Full Gospel Holiness Baptist Church of Sterling City, howled with pain as his busted knuckles cashed the check his rage had written. Members of the church elders had begun to suspect Deacon Dan was canoodling about with another man's wife and had hired Leo to find the matter out. They must have found the matter to be urgent, for he had told them that the fee was $50, and they had agreed without argument. Leo came up and threw an uppercut left at what turned out to be a jaw of fine crystal. The bewildered soon-to-be ex-deacon found himself peering up at the camera just as the flash went off. Just one last portrait for the elders. A nice 8x10 suitable for framing. They pay good. The man's mouth worked, and he spit up blood in a molar. I am a born-again child of God, washed in the blood and free from sin. The Lord has already forgiven me. Why would you do this? Leo found the mix of self-righteousness and self-pity off-putting. The Lord works fast, brother. Your pants are still down around your ankles. And as to why, he shrugged. $50. Stay down and behave until I get gone. To the big man's credit, he did. A simple brawl like that attracted no notice, not down by the rails where the cheap hotels and whorehouses were. Blood and liquor spilled across the red brick streets of Sterling at all hours of the day and night in that neighborhood. Leo called the place home. He had found the wayward deacon in flagrante delicto not a quarter-hour's stroll from his home and office. Steam whistles split the air. Wheezing automobiles auged at the multitude of pedestrians that crisscrossed the streets, heedless of any courtesy or even sense of self-preservation. A mob of people came and went from the Union Station, as they always did, without cease, day and night. Porters from the hotels that lined the streets near the station shucked and jived the more promising-looking travelers, knowing they could get a nickel a head for every guest they brought in and maybe a tip. Whores walked the street, black and white and brown and yellow, showing more than the statutes allowed, plying their trade openly and without shame. The police rarely came down to the district, as folks called it, and when they did, they came with palms extended or guns drawn. Leo had the presidential suite in the Hotel Randolph, which is to say he had half the third floor in the cheapest hotel in the worst part of Sterling City. This more than suited his needs. He had room for himself, his office, and everything he owned. For this, he paid the lordly sum of $5 a week. He stepped around a bum swilling wine from a bottle who was lying on the steps and whistled a happy tune as he sprinted up the stairwell. The elevator was not working, he knew, for he had stepped over the operator on his way in. He did not notice at all the tiny, skinny child that regarded him from the shadows and quietly followed him as he ascended. The sign on his door said Leo Bestar, private detective. Another two-sided sign was hung beneath, and as he unlocked the door, he flipped it over from closed to open. Though the Randolph was both outside and in, slovenly, run down, disreputable, and unkempt, within Leo's suite all was kept tidy. He himself had had the place repainted, brought back into repair, and remodeled to his design. He planned a long-term residency. A mahogany desk, large and splendid, dominated the south end of the main office before the two large arched windows. A single lamp of green glass with gold fittings sat to one side of it. A ledger with a dip pen and ink sat in the middle, and an oak swivel chair sat behind. For clients, a pair of nice wooden chairs sat against the wall at need. Leo thought the office created an aura of professionalism and gravity despite the disreputable quarter of Sterling City it was located in. And it did. Business had not been booming, but it was steady, and he'd begun to get a reputation as a man who could find things out. A large walk-in closet had been outfitted as a darkroom, and he pulled the string for the red bulb and was prepared to develop his film. He had just flipped the camera over to retrieve the negatives when he heard the faint, timid knock at the door. He set the camera on a shelf and pulled the chain, lights out. "Please come in," he said, adjusting his tie in the mirror that hung on the opposite wall. He sat down behind his desk and put on his best and friendliest smile, his business smile, as he thought of it. And the door slowly opened, and a tiny waif of a girl, perhaps 10 years old, came in. Her hair was a chestnut brown, long, nearly to her back. Her thin face was drawn with worry, but underneath showed a natural sweetness. Her eyes were likewise brown and were open wide as she stared at the burly detective. "You are Mr. Bestar, the detective man?" Leo nodded. He was, frankly, uneasy and uncertain. He had but little experience with children. His world was a rough and tumble place, a dirty place no competent parent would let a kid near. She smiled then and ran over to the desk, dropping a ragged purse that made a jingling thud as she did so. "I heard that you charge $5, she said, opening the purse and pouring out a mound of filthy pennies and nickels onto his desk. There were a couple of helicopter pods, long dried, that came out with. These she snatched back and put into the purse with great care. The poor child was so radiantly happy in the moment that he was momentarily struck mute. He did charge $5, yes, for a sit-down consultation. This was a set fee whether the consult lasted minutes or hours, and this was counted against whatever fee he would charge for the job. His heart was not eager to reveal this. She had begun counting the sad, ugly mountain of coins, making neat stacks of 10 high for pennies, 2 for nickels, and Leo saw there were a few dimes, although these were dirty enough to pass for cents. She looked up and stuck out her hand. "I'm Sadie Annette Singer. I want to hire you to find my dad." Her face was cheerful but also serious. Leo felt his gut sinking. "Can't your mom help with that?" All the light on that face went out. She shook her head. "My mama," and that was all she could get out. She went back to counting her coins, blinking the tears back. Leo gave her a moment. "Mother was gone or dead. Check. Dad is the only hope." "No, damn the luck. He was the only hope." "Okay, then. I didn't mean to upset you, but I am a detective, and I can't do you any good if I don't have the story and ask the right questions." She nodded. "It's all right." She was done with the counting. All the coins were stacked in rows like soldiers in formation. She gestured. $5. Reality was that consultation was not a contract for services, but her happiness was palpable, and he found this fact not worth mentioning. "Tell me about your dad." She beamed. "He was really tall, and he was skinny, and he had a beard, and when he picked me up and swung me around, it made me happy. And he worked on the railroad." Leo made a great show of dipping his pen and writing this down. "When did you last see him?" She pondered. "A long time ago. I was maybe 3 or 4 when he went away, and then it was just me and Ma. And then," thought Leo, "it was just you." The sorrow on her face told him the gist of what he needed to know for starts. Dad long gone. Mom and Dad are gone. When exactly? He dared not press her too much, not right away. He did not wish to hurt her in any way. He tried hard to read her, and as he took a hard look, he noticed how thin she really was. Too thin. Her dress was her only dress, and it was ragged. She had been sleeping rough, and she had convinced herself that she could change cruel fate if only she could conjure up $5 in change. And she had. Where can I find you in the event I have more questions or need to inform you of progress in this investigation? She shrank down in her chair and looked at the floor and shook her head. Leo's heart sank. He had hoped that perhaps he was mistaken. He nodded. It's all right. I think for purposes of this case, it would be best if you stayed here. Your fee should more than cover any expenses. And it seemed like the weight of the world slipped off of her shoulders. She sat up, bright-eyed and cheerful. I'd like that. You seem nice. Leo walked across to a door. This is a small room I keep for guests. There's a Murphy bed in the wall you can use. He paused, thinking. I was just about to prepare an early supper. Are you hungry? She beamed. Yes, please. Leo threw together sandwiches and she ate enough for 2 big men. The poor kid hasn't eaten for days, Leo thought. The first step would be running down her birth certificate and figuring out who her parents were. And after that, pray for luck. Men ran out on wives and kids figuring out every day. God only knew if he'd want his kid, even if Leo could find him. The kid needed clothes, too, and shoes, and if this dragged on past the summer, he'd have to figure out getting her to school. I ain't no father, he said to himself. What in the world have I got myself into? But as night fell and she fell into a deep sleep, safe in a bed for the first time, and he knew not how long, he felt fiercely protective. He'd kill an army to protect her. This was a new feeling, and it filled him with dread. And lately, sleeping at night had become impossible. When he tried, he had terrible dreams and sprang up like he'd downed a pot of black coffee. Something was calling. The child would be fine, he knew. He looked into the mirror. Something was missing. His face was not right. Bandit silk. A curiosity he had picked up in Shanghai, opaque from the front, almost perfectly transparent from the rear. He had given a week's pay for a small bolt of it. True, he had been drinking, but it was still that damnedest thing. He pulled it from his drawer. The pattern was black on gold. He wrapped it over and about his head. The silk clung to itself, a perfect mask. He peered over at his reflection, and the pattern made what looked like paws and claws of a great cat on either side of his face. He straightened his tie, adjusted his hat. Nearly perfect. He put on a pair of thin gloves of black leather. He opened his desk and retrieved 2 pairs of brass knuckles. He smiled. Time to go. He never even considered the stairs. He opened one of the great windows and stepped out onto the ledge. He felt no fear of heights nor vertigo. He felt as sure-footed as he would have on the ground. A metal ladder was mounted on the brick exterior from the street to rooftop, just a few feet from his window. He jumped without thinking, landing on the ladder and instantly making his ascent to the rooftop. The moon was full and seemed to glow with intensity. The rooftops of Sterling City lay before him like a hidden highway ready to take him anywhere. Less than a dozen feet across and a few feet down, the roof of the building across the alley beckoned. A tavern on the ground floor, still full of drunks, and apartments up top. His senses felt heightened. It felt as if everything had been turned up, and he had never been more awake or alive. He was lost in that feeling for a moment, and might have spent the whole night exulting in it, but he heard a scream. Shrill, crystalline, and very swiftly cut short. A normal man might not have heard it at all. The night was never truly silent. Night down on the levee where the liquor and the gambling and the trains never stopped. But he knew exactly where the sound originated. He took off at a sprint, bounding over rooftops and making leaps that should have been improbable even for an Olympian. The Sycamore Apartments lay at the northern boundary of the levee, not a block from the Sterling City Police Headquarters. A narrow brick apartment building of 4 stories height, built with honest intentions decade before, but now a notorious brothel. He stood on the rooftop, noting that a fire escape at the rear of the building offered entrance to the top 3 floors. He dropped down, tried the door to the 4th floor, and found it unlocked. He entered soundlessly. The place stank of cheap cologne, sweat, and spilt booze. All was darkness save for a crack of light under one door. This, he knew, was where the cry had come from. He tried the door and stifled a chuckle. Unlocked. Apparently, the folks here feared nothing. A ring of leering men surrounded a young girl of perhaps 14 who struggled against a man old enough to be her grandfather. Her dress was torn, one eye was bruised shut, and she kicked and fought as one fat hand held her silent and the other sought to get her arm behind her back. Fear and adrenaline had given her strength, but it would not be enough. A horror breaker, thought Leo, and his anger was kindled. The demand for prostitution was high, and the Johns always wanted fresh meat. Always. The girls were kidnapped right off the streets of Chicago and Sky Harbor and God knows how many other towns, great and small, and shipped here to be used. But first, their wills had to be broken. Most never survived more than a few years of the life. The very few who escaped and made it home were considered tainted women, never to be respected again. To his great amusement, they were so engrossed in their degenerate sport that they noticed him not at all. He simply nudged into the circle and they moved aside without thinking. The girl was biting down on his fingers now and had drawn blood. The whorebreaker was in a bind, not wanting to further damage the goods, but in a spot. He looked up just in time to see Leo slipping the brass knuckles onto his hands. The florid face froze into shock, fear, and anger. The hapless Johns turned, and that's when he reached up to the drawstring and extinguished the lone light bulb in the ceiling. He found that the room was almost perfectly dark as the blinds were down and drawn, but he could see as well in the dark as in the light. He dropped the whorebreaker first, a hard right that stove in his cranium and slew him before his body crumpled to the floor. The rest he dismantled with the speed of a lion swatting his paw. Bam, bam, bam. And no blow was less than lethal. The last was held by the throat in the darkness, and he said in a choked whisper, "Please, don't kill me. I got a wife and kids. I got money. I'll pay you." "You have a widow and orphans. I hope you have enough money to keep them from starving." And he snapped his neck and let him drop. He pulled the light back on. 6 broken, bleeding corpses lay piled about the small room, and a young girl looked up in pure terror. "Where are your folks, child?" She could not look up when she answered. "Springfield. They grabbed me off the street 3 days ago. You..." "I'm not going to harm you." He produced his wallet and retrieved a neatly folded $10 bill. "Go to the depot. Buy your ticket home. The cafe never closes. You will have enough for food if you need it." She took the money and went out the door and down the stairs at a sprint. Leo quietly shadowed her all the way so that no one would harm her. Once she entered the brightly lit depot, he allowed himself to relax and go home. He sat behind his desk in the darkness, a cigar lit and a tall whiskey in his hand. Never, he thought, had these simple pleasures seemed so fine. The next day, the town was ablaze with rumors, and the headline of the Sterling City Monitor screamed, "Mystery killer strikes. City councilman, 2 off-duty police dead." Leo sipped his coffee and read the story as Sadie happily devoured her breakfast. He had kicked a hornet's nest, it seemed, but he did not care in the least.
I'm muted. Oh, am I unmuted now? Am I good?
You're good.
All right. That was awesome, man. I really, really enjoyed that. I really, really like the just the tone of it, the dark, gritty. It had a very Gotham type feel. Sterling, the picture you painted of Sterling and just the environment. And I think and as someone who listens to a lot of audiobooks, I'll say that I think that you're someone who would be described as having like a gruff voice, I would say. And that lent a lot to the reading of this story. I felt it felt like you read it very well. You made me feel like I was in that gruff dungy and dire environment, and just your inflection on the words, the way you read them, as someone who listens to Audible again, fantastic reading, fantastic performance, and just fantastic detail, and just the way you paint a picture and really draw me into the environment with your words, and everything from sight, sound to all 5 senses is very you take your time and meticulously make sure that the reader or the listener is drawn in every sense, and living in this world, and I felt your the time that you took to do that. I also as far as your character building, that was something that I also thought was like fantastic. Especially, I mean, the there wasn't much dialogue. There was more exposition than dialogue, which lent to the building of the world and the building of the characters, I felt. But the little dialogue that you had in there was fantastic. I particularly liked the line right before he killed the guy where he was like, that it was like, and pardon me if I'm a little bit sick for laughing at this, but I just thought it was badass. It was like one of those fucking like Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious type lines. You don't have a wife and kids. You have a widow. You have a widow and orphans. I hope you got enough money to keep them from starving. Like that was like straight up fucking that it felt like a Punisher. I don't know if you watched any of the adaptations of the Punisher, but it felt like a Punisher line. If fantastically executed just from the building of the character to the like the quippy dialogue. I feel like you have to have quippy dialogue in a comic, right? And that's in like a comic or a superhero story. And that for me, from the start of the story till that point, I had felt more of a detective type vibe, right? This is like it felt like more of like a detective story, a lot more in the vein of something like the Dresden Files that I listened to. It felt more like a detective story, and I love how, like, at the end it started to feel more like a superhero story. You know what I mean? And obviously that was just what the second chapter.
You're seeing him at the very beginning of his career.
Yeah, but I like that he's got that like Punisher Blade type fucking attitude, or he just doesn't give a fuck. But he's also like, you can see that like he's also has that protective instincts, and is sort of in his own way doing things for the right reasons or whatever. But just like the environment that you created, and how he fits into it, as just this sort of like, it felt like, have you ever seen the show Gotham?
No, I've not.
No, there's this detective in the show Gotham, and he's actually from the old detective comics, the old Batman detective comics. And he's just this sort of like, I don't know how to describe him, honestly, but he is loyal and quote unquote heroic, but in a world that has no hope and no morals. And so he kind of has to play fast and dirty with his own morals. And that turns him into a badass, but also a morally questionable character, which are my favorite types of characters. Right. So I liked how you painted him as that kind of morally questionable, Punisher, Blade, anti-hero type thing. That was cool. But yeah, just overall fantastic piece. And I can't wait to hear more of it, dude.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I'll bring these other artists up, see what they think about it. Sanya, what did you think about his piece? Oh, she was glitching out before. That's okay. Chris, why don't you go ahead?
The story reminds me of like going camping and hearing campfire stories.
Yeah, and he gave off that vibe too with the was that a candle, or you actually sitting next to a fire? Yeah.
It's candle.
Good ambiance. Good ambiance.
It's highly affordable
Um,
too.
absolutely. I think Poetless is having some problems again. Is she? I don't know. But Lawrence, um, are you Lawrence? Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yep, I
All
can
right.
hear you.
What did you think?
So my notes is, I think Kevin, you were on the first show that I was on, because I couldn't remember your voice. You have a very distinctive bass voice, and you really engage your reader in the theme of your stories simply by your voice. And I really was drawn into it just by listening to your voice, and it's really captivating. I like the imagery, the use of your very detailed images of the Murphy bed and the food and the killing scene. It was very vivid, and it really brought me into the story. And like I've heard, like Dylan was saying, is it kind of was dark and kind of like Gotham. And I have to agree. I felt like it was raining, it was gloomy, and Batman was going to come up behind me. um, and you're very unique in your voice. Again, it really adds to your story.
Thank you.
Tasanya, are you with us?
We shall see.
What did you think of his piece?
So, like, I don't know much about comic books and villains and heroes, but like Lawrence was saying, your voice seems perfect for the genre. It's like I didn't want to stop listening to it. It almost put me in the mind of that. I haven't seen very many comic book movies or nothing like that, but I think it's called Sin City.
Oh yeah, Frank Miller.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it puts me in the mind of.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's kind of an influence.
I also got some a little bit of like Watchmen vibes as well.
Yeah, I've seen The Watchmen too. I think like
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, a little bit of Watchmen, a little bit of like Gotham, but I said Gotham as in not just the city, the name of the city, but the show, because Gotham is a time period in which there is no Batman, and Batman really represents he's a symbol of hope, and in this like the whole of disparity that Gotham is. And so Gotham, the show, really gives you like a look into what this world is like without that symbol of hope in it. And I felt more of a vibe of that. And maybe it's like, again, it's the beginning. This is his origin story. So now, maybe we're going to see him become some sort of symbol of hope. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how the story goes. I can't wait for you to be back on with more of it. But, I got the vibe of, again, this Sterling, is it called?
Sterling City, yes.
Yeah, Sterling, just of this
Sure.
like kind of poverty stricken, hopeless town, much like Gotham. That's just, needs something and it doesn't know what it needs. And maybe that this guy could maybe be part of that something that it needs. And that's what every superhero story kind of is like, it's a city that's all fucked up, and then one guy comes in and does something that, kind of helps it. And
Well,
yeah.
part of the course of the story is that the powers that be, and I mean, this place is corrupt from top to bottom. It's as rotten and crooked a place as you could have a nightmare about, and in ways that I'll expand on later. But they don't want anyone knowing that there's a mask out there doing these things. So, I mean, if you're just a citizen of Sterling City, all you're going to know is that there's a trail of bodies.
Right. Because and I what is that other I was going to mention, there was another one that I was going to mention, but Arrow. The show Arrow is and I believe I can't remember the name of that city, but the show Arrow has that at least in the first season. I haven't watched any farther, but it's unlike Batman, he's not like a symbol. And in the powers that be in that show worked very hard through media outlets and whatnot to, show to not show anything, because the one thing that does is well, I guess it does two things. Is some people it'll fucking inspire them, right? Some people will give them hope, or some people it'll drive them into fucking nutso crazes, or some people it'll fucking scare them, right? And you don't want your population either. You don't want them fucking too empowered, and you don't want them too scared either. So I like that you're gonna play with the political side of, what that does to a society, having a figure like that. I like that. It's cool.
Well, I mean, there are repercussions to what happened because you have 2 off-duty cops and a city councilman in that room, and he killed them. So this has to be covered up. Nobody can ever know what they were doing in there. That they got killed at 1 a.m. in an infamous brothel is not going to play well with the citizens.
Right. And I really like that whole political, like that's the thing that I had always kind of liked about what the author of the Hunger Games did with her society is played into the political aspect of, creating a perfect image, and this all I felt like it was a good commentary on our own society of celebrities and political figures creating this image no matter the cost, and often sacrificing their own morals behind the scenes to achieve their desired outcomes or whatever, or their agendas. That's always been a really I've always been fascinated with that in stories, and I've always liked how artists can draw a parallel between, that in their stories and our own society. So I'm interested to see where you go with that as well.
Yeah, and some of it was drawn from life. The practice of kidnapping young girls and breaking them in that fashion was prevalent, especially in places like Chicago. That happened. And I expect it happened here in my hometown too, because Sterling City is just my hometown on a grand scale, much bigger. But I mean, we called our vice district the Levee. The Union Station was a real place. The Randolph Hotel was a real place. The Sycamore is still standing. So I've drawn locations and things that happened here locally.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
Fictionalize them.
And you know who also does that is Stephen King.
Mm.
Everything he writes about is about his area in Maine and how he relates to that and been a part of a lot of that.
Well, it took a lot of years for me to figure out the lesson that Tolkien was teaching us. And, I'm no Tolkien, but you take what you've got in front of you and you make a myth out of it.
Yeah. And I think it just adds validity to your storyline. It's great that you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A fantastic piece. But thank you for being with us and coming on. If you can stick around. If not, I understand. We appreciate you having I can't even speak today, guys. We appreciate you being here, and thank you for being on. One more time before you, if you do have to get out of here, though, I just want to remind everybody they can follow you on Facebook, and you can contact you by email. And one more time, your last name, just so I don't butcher it.
Burge, Birge.
Burge. Okay. All right. I did get it right one of the times. Kevin Burge on Facebook, burge.kevin@gmail.com. And here, next time he's on, sharing more of his story on Lostboys. Thank you for being on. We're honored to have you. You're always welcome back anytime. Just message me. If you want to stick around to the end, we would be happy to have you. But that being said, guys, we are going to get on with these next poems, and here's how I'm going to run this. I'm going to have Lawrence and Tasanya do both of their pieces back to back, and then we will do Poetless and end with Chris. Let's see. Lawrence looks like he's pumped and ready. So
yeah, I'm ready to go.
Are you or Sonia? I don't know. I don't know if she's frozen. Oh no, she's there. Okay. Which at this point, I'm just gonna leave it up to you guys. Which one of you wants to go first?
It could be ladies first. I'm fine with that.
All right, by all
I'll go first
means.
because I might have to drop. I'll go first because I might not be able to stay till we're done.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's fine. All right, cool. So we'll have you do both your pieces back to back. And what's the first one you're gonna do?
I'm gonna continue with story.
All right, cool. All right. So this is from what, 2 weeks ago you were on, or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago?
2 weeks
Oh, you
ago.
did a bit of this. All right, cool. Well, I'm excited to hear more of it. I'm gonna just drop myself out of here and let you get to it.
Okay. So for those of you who may have watched it last time I was on, we left off with the story I was writing, and it doesn't have a title. It's just called Story. We left off with Richard getting shot, and he was shot in the convenience store. Sarah and her mom sat in matching black dresses at her father's funeral. She still couldn't believe this was actually happening. It had been just 5 days since her father was murdered. At least he took one of them down with him. The cops were still searching for the other two. Richard Lyon's funeral was held in a small church on the north end of town. It was a nice service, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. At the cemetery, as they lay Richard in the ground, all Sarah could think was that it was too nice of a day. She wished it would at least be raining. At least then the weather would match her broken soul. She looked over at her mother, only to find her already looking at her. Neither of the women could could even muster a smile for the other. She had lost her father, and her mom had lost the only man she ever really loved. So instead of fake smiles, they just clasped hands. As the last words were said and the flowers were placed on the casket, Sarah began to feel a prickling on her neck. You know, the kind when you get when you feel someone watching you. She glanced around the graveyard as the sensation increased. There, down the row of headstones, about 30 feet away, she saw a boy. Sorry. She saw a boy. He was probably around her age. She couldn't quite tell. He was tall, standing beside the statue of a very large gray angel. She had never seen the boy before. At least she didn't think she had. Yet she had a feeling that she knew him. Sarah didn't realize that the service was over until her mom squeezed her hand. Startled, she stood, walking over to her dad's casket and placed a single red rose amongst all the white ones. Her mother did the same. Sarah turned back one last time to see if the boy was still there, but he had vanished. Had he ever really been there, or was the grief of losing her father just too much? 10 days have passed since Richard's funeral. There are still so many reminders of him. His cologne still sits in the bathroom, untouched. Sarah has had to stop herself many times from spraying it. She misses his smell, misses his arms around her, and the safety they created. Kathy sat quietly on her bed, hers and Richard's bed. God, how she missed him. She needed him more now than she ever had before. It's funny how that happens. It's completely true, she realized. You never realize how good something is until it's gone. She thought about all the things she took for granted as the tears slid down her cheeks. He was her everything, her strength, and now, more than ever, she was going to need strength. Kathy had no idea how she was going to tell Sarah the truth about her real parents. She thought her and Richard would do it together, but now it was impossible, and she would be left to explain on her own. Sarah could sometimes imagine her father whispering in her ear at night as she slept. You are stronger than you think, Angel. That's what he used to always say to her. He always called her Angel. Always said that his little angel was special. Well, she didn't feel special right now. She stood in the mirror and looked at herself. long, raving black hair flowing down her back. Deep green eyes looked back at her, lost and vacant. At the moment, they were glistening with unshed tears. The jeans she wore hugged her curves. Sarah always wondered why she looked nothing like either of her parents. Whereas Richard had light brown hair and brown eyes, her hair was dark as night, and neither of her parents had green eyes like hers. Her mom was straight as a board. Sarah scrunched up her face in the mirror. Come on, honey, you don't want to be late, she heard her mother call from the hall. School, Sarah thought. Her 11th grade year had already started off bad. This isn't how it's supposed to be, she thought ferociously. My dad is supposed to be here. We're supposed to be having pancakes and eggs. Instead, all she had was a glass of orange juice. She probably couldn't stomach much else anyway. And that's the end of that one for right now.
I like that. I really like that. And I like that you are branching out from poetry into writing story. And I think that you're doing a fantastic job. I mean, have you dabbled in stories before? Is this your like first time?
Yeah, no, I used to write stories too. I just don't do it that often. This one I wrote a while back, like back in 2021. I haven't even worked on it or nothing. It's just some of what I have for right now.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I really like that you're coming on here and you're showing more of that side and dipping more into the story writing. It's been something I've been meaning to get back into myself, actually. And you and Kevin are definitely making me feel like I should start stepping back into there and writing my own. But one thing I will say about this story is I wasn't quite sure, where you were gonna go, having killed off your main character. And I love that it switched viewpoints and showed the perspective of his daughter and how it affected her life. That was
Yeah, really, it's the
fantastic.
daughter that is the main character.
That's awesome. See, that's really cool because that's like a it's like what they did in fucking in the first season of Game of Thrones when Ned Stark gets his fucking head cut off, right? So if you don't know Game of Thrones, right? Ned Stark starts the first season of Game of Thrones being like the main dude. He's like the face on every cover of Game of Thrones. He's like, the person everybody comes and talks to. Like he's the main he's the main guy. And then at the end, spoiler alert, by the way, he gets his head fucking just
Yeah,
and
and that's
and it's
I've only seen season one, so I didn't watch it any after that, and I'm like, what just happened?
it goes, yeah, there's so much more, and the way they build on it from there is fantastic. And I should say the way that George R. R. Martin built on it, and they adapted it great until like the last episode. When we won't talk about the last episode doesn't exist, guys. We won't talk about that. But no, George R. R. Martin, that fucking it feels like that kind of like uh you know quarterback sneak. You know what I mean? You come in with this you make us think you have this main character, and then you just kill him, and we're like, oh, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh, no, the story is actually about Arya and his fucking and his other children. You know what I mean? And it's that kind of switch fade. So I really like that. That was really cool. It was really cool. And,
Thank
and
you.
and
Yeah,
unexpected. And
I've written short stories. I don't write them very often. I usually stick with poetry or art in general. I still haven't came on here and showed any of my art.
yeah. I mean, we're waiting. We're open for it. Anytime you have stuff for us, let me know next time, and you can bring a couple pieces on.
Yeah.
Show them. So yeah, definitely. No, that was a fantastic fucking story, and I can't wait to hear the continuation of it because now I'm really intrigued. You've done the switch fade, and now you've brought us into the world of the real main character and how her life is going to progress from here. And yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes. And I
I'm
love how
interested
it's
to see where it goes too. So
now me and I've said it, and you've heard me say this a bunch of times. Like obviously, I'm a fantasy sci-fi guy, but this just the realness of it, it's really different. Just it feels just real. Everything about it feels at its core just very, very, very real, and uniquely so. Just, in a way that it makes you feel like, you're living with these people, and it's a real life situation. It's not dramatized or anything like that at all. It's
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully later on it doesn't go there. Hopefully it doesn't like go off the rails.
Hey, you know what? You want to jump the shark? By all means, jump the shark. Some of the greatest fucking things in history, greatest stories in history have jumped the shark a million times. And can you freaking,
Yeah.
I mentioned Fast and the Furious earlier. You know how many times those guys have jumped the shark? They've jumped out of fucking planes. I mean,
Yeah. Well, look at Stephen King's work.
yeah, yeah. Excellent example. Excellent example. Stephen King has continuously jumped the shark, and just one of my favorite shows of all time, Supernatural, is known for being one of the like shark jumpiest shows of them all. Like, it started out very like low key, just these two brothers doing jobs, hunting monsters, and then it gets up to their like fighting fucking God and angels and shit, and it's just like absolutely ridiculous. Beyond fucking, they're just like, what do we do next? We've already fought in fucking God. Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I can't wait to see where it goes, and no, whether it goes in a dramatized direction or it stays, real and gritty or whatever. I can't wait to see where it goes. So thanks for sharing it.
You're welcome.
What did my man Lawrence think about it?
Yeah, being a person that has gotten into the poetry part first and then gone into writing stories and such, it's a courageous jump, and I can definitely appreciate what you did with your story. It's kind of an escape, if you will, to go from poetry to short stories or novels. And I think you did a really good job of taking what you're good at in poetry and bring it into your stories and well develop that story. And it really gave life to your characters. I really felt the whole scheme of what was going on in your story, and it moved me. It was very good.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Chris, what did you think?
I think the story is really interesting. It's more like it sounds like a novel or something, or like something you can, like a story, like the Harry Potter series, or yeah, like one of those books that has like different series. The different series of books. Like a whole series of books.
Yeah, you could definitely take it pretty far.
Yeah, you started well into like a trilogy. I definitely see that being developed.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Tasanya, you want to read your second poem for us, or you got to get out of here? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? I think she might be frozen. Are you frozen? Am I muted? Hello? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Can you hear
Having
me?
technical difficulties.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to read your second poem, or do you want to read your second piece, or do you have to go for tonight? Darn. All right. All right. Well, we'll have my man Lawrence do his piece.
Yeah.
Do his pieces. You can do both of your pieces right now, and then if Chris wants to end off the show, that's how we'll do that. So, what are the pieces you're going to do for us?
I'm going to do a short story, and I'm crossing over to as well. I've started my novel, and I've had several stories published. They're the very quick and dirty, if you will, short story contests that I've kind of thrown myself into. And this is one of them. I actually had to write 3 versions of this story with different characters, but they all had to go through the same process and ending. So this is the one I liked of the 3, and it's called the After Party.
After Party. All right. I will
right.
drop myself out of here. And
Okay. All right. The bass thumped through the club as Jack danced, lost in his drug-induced euphoria of meth, cocaine, and ecstasy. As disco lights flickered and laughter surrounded him, Jack turned to the crowded dance floor and proclaimed, "I can live forever." At the strike hour of 2 a.m., the eternal closing time, Jack was lit. He left the club, weaving through the early morning haze, barely noticing the cars that were sped around him. As he fast approached the intersection, he didn't know where he went. Sorry. As Jack continued his journey, he seemed to have just floated home. He chuckled and proclaimed the drugs were grade A. Arriving home peacefully, he fell into a deep slumber. As dawn broke, he rose, feeling strangely at peace. He followed his routine: coffee, shave, and a shower. While shaving, he noticed something unusual in the mirror. He stared at his reflection, noticing how pale and vacant he looked. He proclaimed, "I must have partied too hard last night," he mumbled. Touching his cold, translucent face, "I look so ghostly." He chuckled, dismissing the eerie thought nagging him. He grabbed his keys and stepped out of his apartment, unaware of the stunned faces and whispers from his neighbors. Jack passed by an accident site on his way to work. He gazed at the bloody body that laid in the ground by the paramedics. He shivered but continued on. As he went through his day, people avoided him. Their tearful and sad eyes greeted him. Jack couldn't understand their expressions. What was going on? What did I miss? The truth remained just out of his grasp, a veil he couldn't lift. Was he a ghost that now lives in the shadow of life? It became the reality that he had expired. Obviously, until now, the accident was his demise. That was the end.
I'm sorry. No. Sorry. I clicked it and then it didn't work, and I clicked it again and it didn't work. This fucking thing is not.
I was like, oh shoot, I gotta work the ending again.
No. Sorry, that was on my end. My bad, man. No, that was a fantastic piece, man. I really like that. And again, you know what you said to Sonia, I'll echo it. You know, the courageous jump from poetry to storytelling. And you know, I love your character building and you know your world building, and I really like how you're able to take, you know, because it feels like, you know, and okay,
Like
I
it's a
know
segment of your life?
I forgot. Yeah, see, I forgot this. I forgot, or I remember this halfway through your reading that I forgot to do your intro. And in your intro, I was going to mention that you have struggled with addiction and financial problems, and you know, it feels like you worked a lot of this into, you know, your own experiences of addiction and whatnot into your story. You know, and something that you had asked me to say in your intro was that, you know, all of your experiences, all these experiences have led you back to your words, and you know how you're kind of, you know, discovering yourself through your words again. And I like how you're not just doing it through poetry, but you're doing it through storytelling, and you know, creating these characters where on one hand you're taking yourself and the audience out of their world and into this story, but at the same time you're putting a lot of yourself into it at this, and this character, it's not you, but it has, you when you add your own traits and your own experiences and things that you have gathered throughout the years into your work, it really creates a richer story. So I love that you were able to do that.
And really, I had to take a look at what I was like in my early 20s. And, going to college, working, and partying was the three things that made everything in the world to me, And I had to reflect on that. How did I survive not getting hit by a car on my way back home from, clubbing all night? Is a miracle. But unfortunately, this character met his demise.
Yeah, and you know what? That's some of the best stories are like a what if scenario. Eminem, I don't know if you've heard it, but Eminem just put out a new song. It's called Somebody Save Me, and then the chorus is sampled from Jelly Roll's Save Me track. It's the chorus. But
my boyfriend played it. I've heard it. It's good.
The verses of the song are Eminem depicting him talking to his daughters from heaven if he had died and not gone into recovery and had died on that night when he collapsed and went into the hospital. If he had died that night instead of being where he is at now, it was the story told from that perspective. And it was fantastic. Some of the best stories are those what ifs. What would have happened to me if, and I, trust me, man, I have plenty of stories of my own. I just this past weekend, on my birthday weekend, I went had a little too much in the tank and not enough food to eat, and I lost my phone, and it was
it was a good time, right?
Yeah. Hey man, when it's a good time, it's a good time.
I like like what you posted, that you don't feel 23, you still feel 22.
I post, so
and
that was
I built on that to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you. I do still kind of feel I still feel fucking 13.
Yeah.
No,
When I read the story,
except for when I have to wake up in the morning or when I have to fucking stay late at work, I'm like, I don't feel 15. I feel fucking 95. But I posted that because a friend of mine, Uno, who comes on the show, he's a big Taylor Swift fan. So the joke was, I'm feeling 22. Yeah,
that's where
it was a
nod.
nod.
Okay, there you go. All right.
But anyway, man, I love that.
I
love
really
that story.
feel that people that can write these stories that are so enriching and reflective of real life have had to experience it. They have to.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you got a poem for us too?
Yep, I got a poem here, and this one kind of inspired me from Kylie Minogue's new single that she's got out, which is about the best I've ever heard from her in a long time. Padum. And I did my research trying to figure out, is this a foreign word? What does it mean? How does it fit into song and everything? And really, it's a made-up word that reflects some kind of action in your story or action in the words. So I thought.
So when I first heard it, I had assumed and I guess I was kind of right and wrong at the same time. I had assumed it was an onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia. There you go.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. So I was right. All right. Real quick, before you do your piece, before I forget again, you guys can follow him on Facebook at hold on. Follow him on Facebook at An Unexpected Poet and Author. You can follow him on LinkedIn at Lawrence Bechtel. You can follow him on Reddit at u/kindly -ad 1882. Is that correct? Yep. Quora, an unexpected poet and writer, on Instagram at xlarrybear, X.
There you go.
So make sure you all go follow him. And you can also, he does writing courses. He has a master's. That's something else I forgot to mention. He has a master's in education from the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas, and you guys can take courses from him in master
Online.
courses. The inner voice of my poetry on Udemy.
Udemy, .com.
Yeah,
Or,
finding. Yeah, okay. So anyway, go check that out if you want to get a master's course in writing. And follow my man here. But I will drop myself out of here and I'll let you get to your poem so we can close off the night.
Great, thank you. So this is called Badoom. In the night, the rhythm calls, echoes through the crowded halls, a heartbeat strong, a pulse so clear. Badoom, badoom, it drives me near. The city lights, they dance and gleam. Reflecting dreams, a vivid stream, a melody that fills the air. The song of love beyond compare. Your eyes meet mine, a sparkle unites. In this moment, it feels so right. Our hands entwine, we sway in time. To badoom, badoom, our hearts align. The music lifts us high and free, a symphony for you and for me. In every beat, in every sound, badoom, badoom, our heart and love is found. As the song fades into the dawn, the magic lingers, never gone, for in each note a promise lies. Badoom, badoom, forever ties.
I think that's nice because we have too much fucking darkness and fucking, we talk a lot about trauma and bullshit on this show. And I think it's really nice to have something like that once in a while.
That uplift that you could feel.
Just something calm and nice and happy and about love and peace and just being in the moment with someone else. And, you need that. You need that to fucking balance out all the fucking chaos because that's what a lot of fucking, the poetry is. And don't get me wrong, that's what I love about it the most is that we can express our inner chaos. But man, sometimes you need just a ba-dum, ba-dum,
yep.
Ba-dum, ba-dum,
and hopefully, people found the rhythmic,
I felt it.
With that song.
And I felt the vibe you were going for it, and I think like I have recently discovered what is called lo-fi beats or lo-fi music.
Oh yeah.
And people make versions, they take like the instrumental of a song and then they dumb down the I don't know what they do on a technical level, honestly, but it feels like what they do is they take away or at least quiet the strings and amplify the bass. And I don't even, it's just I'm
glad you brought that up because I'm actually working on that.
Okay. So some people might call it like, it's like next level elevator music, right? It feels like it's like elevator music, but it's like trippy elevator music.
Low fidelity.
Yeah. It is. I'm not sure what they do on a technical standpoint, really, but something about it. It has, all of them have a
frequency that affects your
right, like a pitch.
Yeah, it brings it down to your cellular level.
That affects your mood and your brain on like
yes.
And I'm like, what? Like I was like crazy when I put MGK recently released a album when he worked with another producer and he released an album of a lot of all his songs, not all his songs, but an album of his songs of lo-fi beats. They were all turned in, and sometimes they're like, some of them they're unrecognizable from the original. Like you can't even tell that that's what that song is supposed to be. But dude, when I put it on, like,
well,
it felt like a drug. It affected me like a drug. Lo-fi beats affected me like a drug, and on like you were saying, a cellular level.
Yeah.
And Uh,
What I discovered with that, and a lot of it was, what is this spatial sound coming from? What technology is driving this? And Apple is the premier of using spatial sound in music and such, and every other recording studios and companies are picking it up too as well. But doing some research on that there are certain frequencies that the pitch done just right hits the cellular level and excites the interaction of your molecules. Basically,
were you
it can make you happier, it can make you calmer, it could make you
were you on here a few weeks ago? Now maybe it was about a month ago or so. Now
yeah,
we had
yeah,
my friend Raph on here. He played guitar.
yep, yep,
And yeah, he talked about his guitar. It's tuned to, I believe, 480 frequency.
yep,
And
yep,
he was talking about how 480 is a frequency that on a cellular level is healing to the mind and the body.
right. And that's what got me excited about what is this about, and I started doing some research on it.
I
So
like that.
yeah,
Dude, see, that's what this show is all about, man. And
yeah,
like we end up like connecting and discovering things from each other, and then it's a whole healing process. It's a
absolutely,
whole the connection and the learning and it's all about healing, and it all
yeah.
helps us to heal more. It's
So
just what I love about the show so much. Man,
yeah,
thank you for being here. Thank you for reading your poetry. Thank you for reading your story.
yeah.
We really appreciate it. Chris, are you still with us? Mm,
Oh,
Yep, I'm here.
oh, there
all
we go.
right. Do you want to close us out for the night?
Sure.
All right. Cool. What do you got for us?
I have my poem is called Embracing Wounds. So this is a new poetry piece that I did. Excuse me. Besides the one that says the last one, beside the last one that I wrote, this is a new poetry piece that I did. So I'm gonna read that one.
All right. I'll let you I'll wait, hold on. Real quick. Let me get that title up here. What's it called again?
It's called Embracing Wounds.
All right. Yep. All right, man. I'll get myself out of here and let you get to it.
Okay. With every dawn, a softer grace, embracing the wounds, we find our place. A fractured heart learns how to rise with gentle steps on paths unknown. Through storms of thought, we walk alone. Moments of clarity etch joy on the face. With courage as compasses and kindness as guides, the heart learns to unwrap the armor it's tied to. The mirror reflects both the trauma and grace while putting the pieces together to move forward with one's life. Mental health whispers that healing takes time. A symphony swells a gradual climb. Letting go of the weight that's past often drags. In the cycle of seasons, the heart finds its song. For healing's a journey, and you've always belonged. For in every fracture, there's light to be found. A mosaic of strength, unbreakably bound. Each tear a river, each scar is a tale. Moments of darkness, yet spirits prevail. Through valleys of doubt, past mountains of fear, courage ignites like a flame drawing near. In the garden of healing, we plant every seed, water them with the ink of our pens, and grow poetry.
Oh yeah, man. That was awesome. I love the imagery in that one and the metaphors of, the how we are the gardeners and that's something I've always loved about being an artist, whether I'm writing stories or I'm writing, you feel like you're, at least for me, it feels like I'm harnessing the power of creation, you know, the power, the same energy that, whatever you believe in, God, the universe, whatever energy was used to create trees and plant life and animals and rocks and mountains. I'm harnessing a bit of that energy every time I write a poem or a story. It's the power of creation, what it means to create something. And I love how you illustrated the essence of that in that piece, just the feeling of being an artist and being the creator and the gardener and the protector. And I loved how you like showed it from that perspective. I really love that, man. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. To Sonia, what did you think about that piece?
I really enjoyed it. I love the way your voice that just flows so naturally. And then the pictures that you paint with your words, it's a beautiful thing to witness.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you both for being here. Before we go, I usually give people the opportunity to say anything they'd like to the audience, whether it be just go follow me or a piece of advice or an anecdote. By all means, Chris, if you want to say anything to the audience, now is your time.
Yeah, so I'm actually currently working on some new poetry while we're doing the live stream. So like when you said, do this, like doing a sequel to my I Am Poetry and My Life as a Poem, I have actually 2 more versions that I just finished right before I did my last poem. Also, too, I want to talk about, my website, poetryroots.online. That's where I have all my poetry books and, all my merch and stuff is on there. So yeah, everything's connected. I also have a documentary that's called I Am Poetry, where I wrote the script and, because I have a film production background, as well as a design background. So I created, this whole project, but I work with the actual film crew to put it together, and it talks about my journey as a poet, as a writer too, and then the building of my Poetry Roots brand.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you for being here. Everybody go check him out on his Poetry Roots brand and all the stuff he's got going on. And check him out next time he's on here, because you are most definitely welcome back anytime. Just message me and we'll get you back up on here. To Sonia, anything you'd like to say to the audience before we go?
Other than the normal, go follow me. If y'all do happen to go to my Facebook page on the light Facebook page, it looks fake because I have nothing on there, nothing at all. So it probably looks fake.
No, yeah, it's new. It's new. You just started it. Yeah, I had all your new stuff up here. It's light 6538355 on Facebook or on Snapchat at Sonia_Gray 2024. And actually, real quick, because you didn't get your flyer, I'll just pop it up. So make sure everybody goes and checks her out. And everybody else, thank you guys so much for being on here. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys are literally the foundation of what I do. I couldn't do it without you guys and the community that we built. So thank you for being part of it. And check us out every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, except for next Saturday. We're taking a break. I forgot to announce that at the beginning of the show, but I guess we'll just announce it now at the end of the show. Next week, there will be no Lostboys show. We are taking an intermission break. I'm going on vacation to visit my best friend, Devin. Shout out, Devin. And yeah, but check us out on the 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern for our next episode. And go follow us on all the platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and anywhere else you find your podcast. Check out our Deep Cuts episodes. Check out our outdoor adventure vlog with me and Brandon. And we are out, guys. Peace out.